First of all, Pete, I say this to all the guests that I have on the show. Thank you for giving me some of your time. I'm always really appreciative of anybody that comes on the show and gives up some of their time to come and
Yeah,
have a
my
chat with
pleasure.
me.
Absolute pleasure.
How are you? I mean, 13th album not long since out, another tour just about to begin.
Yeah.
Must be feeling good, surely.
Oh, we can't wait. We did some shows sort of November last year, and they were great. It was just we just seemed to time it perfectly for when restrictions were lifted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, we're looking forward to doing, a couple of months of playing. We can't wait. It's been a long time.
Well, that's it. Again, after the last couple of years everybody's had, it must be even more sweeter to step out on that stage again. Like you said, even though you're out in November, just to hopefully, fingers crossed,
Yeah.
to keep going with these tours.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, exactly. No, it's been tough couple of years. It's kind of the anniversary yesterday, wasn't it, of the first lockdown in the UK? And I think it was tough on everybody. But we're out of it now, it seems. We're going to have to just live with it, I think, And so, yeah, we're just chomping at the bit. Can't wait to get out there, Well, I don't know if we can still play, but, we'll find out next week.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
I'll have a go,
Yeah.
The spirit will be there. Maybe not all the notes in the right order.
Oh, and I mean, I've been an FM fan. Well, from the beginning, I remember buying Indiscreet back in 86, oh my word. And the first time I saw you guys was when you were supporting Bon Jovi on the Slippery When Wet tour.
Right, yeah,
that was the first time that I saw you. And I do, and again, regular listeners will know, when I have guests on who have been a fan of for so long, I do like to have a bit of nostalgia and a little bit of a chat about the 80s, if that's all right.
No problem, if I can remember, a long time ago. But yeah, there we go.
Because you always think, especially with bands and that, the 80s, and oh my God, it was, it's such an amazing decade. And one question I always ask is, I am so grateful that so many bands that I got into in the 80s are still around. I can go and see them live, and they're still producing new music.
Yeah, we're made of stern stuff.
Well, that's the thing. What do you think it is about so many bands of the 80s are still doing it?
I have no idea, to be honest. We were just very, very lucky. I remember when we called it a day in the 90s, I thought, oh, well, I've had a great time. But then we got back together again in 2007, I think it was. And I remember when we did the shows with Foreigner and Journey, I think it was in Ireland. I think it was in Dublin. I just remember standing on the stage thinking, my God, I'm such a lucky person to be still doing this. And I appreciate it. And I know the other guys really appreciate it too, that we can still go out and play live and make records and make music. It's a privilege. It really is, and we just thank all our fans for sticking with us. We really, really do.
And I love, with FM, I mean, they tick all the boxes. And again, regular listeners know I like melody to my music. I love great vocals, the guitar sound, the drums. And FM have always ticked all the boxes for everything that I love about the music. And even, I listened the other day again, I had it blasting out in the car, it's the 13 album.
Right.
And it still ticks every box for me. And I go, yeah, this is awesome.
That's great. No, because we just set out to make the best album we possibly can at the time. But we never know if people are going to actually like it. So it's quite a nerve-wracking time when we kind of give it out there for people to listen to. But all the last albums of the reaction's been fantastic, and the reaction to 13 has been amazing. I haven't seen one dodgy review. Well, maybe people are hiding them from me. I don't know. But no, all the reviews have been fantastic, and just the feedback from people. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's a classic. It's the same as Indiscreet and Tough It Out, and it's like, wow, that's pretty good, because nostalgia is the early albums. It's like probably Indiscreet is probably the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives, and you're never going to be able to recreate that because it's the whole thing, isn't it? Like when you were, I don't know, maybe your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend, you were listening to Indiscreet. You're never going to be able to recreate the that probably with a later album. But
Yeah.
when people are comparing it to that, that's that's great. Absolutely brilliant.
Do you find when it comes to the songwriting process, is there any pressure? And you're thinking of those early albums, and you're going, "Oh, we've got this to live up to."
Not really. We, like I say, we just try and. I think sometimes if you try and force yourself to write a certain style, it sometimes comes across like that. We have, I think,
because FM you've not stuck to just cooker cutter.
No. We tried a few things.
Yeah.
I think on the last couple of albums we have kind of on a few tracks tried to sort of recreate that kind of more 80s sound. Sort of thing. Whether we succeed or not, I have no idea, but people seem to like them. So, I'll go, yeah, we probably did. It really is a tough one. It really is a tough one to sort of explain how we kind of do it. They just kind of evolve the songs, sort of thing. People have ideas, and then everyone will put their own stamp on it, and that's how they finish up. And
the recording process has changed so much since the 80s
yes,
as well. Hasn't it? You've gone, from the old analog to how it's digital now, and from the big recording studios and all of this.
I mean, we used to, back in the day when we were doing like Indiscreet and stuff out. I mean, we were paying. Well, we weren't, but Sony or CBS, whoever, it was like £1,500 a day studio time.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just like, wow, I can't kind of comprehend that now. It was like an album had to cost $250,000 or pounds, or it wasn't worth its salt. It's like, whoa, we could make about, 250,000 albums probably that way. It is, but that's just how it was at those times. I remember we were, I think it was, what was it? It was during Indiscreet. And it was hot wired. We were in this studio called Comfort's Place. And funny enough, the tape assistant who was working with us was this guy called Pete Woodruff. And he went on to work with Def Leppard. He was like a really talented guy. But at the time he was just, but I think he was probably an engineer, but they put him in because we were sort of, our manager was engineering, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave King at the time. And I remember what Merv wanted. He wanted a shaker to go between the two speakers. I started like, right? We were there for a whole day trying to get this down. So I like to say, if you listen to Hot Wired, you'll hear a shaker going panning across. That cost £1,500. And probably Pete Woodruff was there, probably going, I could do that in 30 seconds. But these monkeys here, that's the honest truth. We spent the whole day trying to get this shaker in time going across. Yeah, so £1,500 worth that was. Oh God.
You must have had some good times, though, in the studios recording those early albums. That must have been a blast, especially the first one. I mean, of course, you were with bands before FM.
Yeah. I know, we had a great time because we had a couple of false starts, with both albums, actually, with Indiscreet and Tough Out. But when we finally, we flew out to Ibiza, like you do,
Of course, yeah.
To record the drums. And that was, you can imagine, 5 guys going down San Antonio after a recording session. No, we had a great time. We got the drums down and we just had a hoot. It was brilliant. It was really weird because the studio, it was on the younger viewers. You won't remember this, but do you remember Party Lines? That used to share a phone line, kind of thing. Yeah. Well, the studio, this is obviously before mobile phones and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It had a phone, but it was connected to a car battery, and you were sharing it with this farm down the road. And it was just like the most mental way of trying to make a phone call kind of thing. But I suppose that was how it was then, really. We didn't seem to. It was great, get up in the morning, sunbathe for an hour, go and do some playing, finish, have something to eat, and head off and go and have a drink. Terrible, terrible life. Terrible life. I'd hate to do that again. And then we'd tough it out. We had a couple of false starts as well, but then we ended up recording that at CBS Studio. Well, no, we did the drums at Air Studios, and then we went to CBS Studios in London, and we had a great time. Neil Kerner, he was a great producer, and he had this work ethic, I suppose. He said, "Well, look, we'll work 6 days a week, kind of thing. But what we'll do is we won't have Sunday off, because what can you do on a Sunday?" He said, "So what we'll do is we'll have Saturday off." I said, "Oh, okay then." So what we'd do on a Friday night, we'd probably finish recording about 6 o'clock, and we'd just sort of play all that we'd done that week, kind of thing, for a couple of hours, and then we'd, strange enough, go down the pub. Comes up a lot in our recording, doesn't it?
That's
I
it.
never went down the pub, So.
I remember buying Tough It Out, and even talking about it now, Pete, and I'm not lying to you, I'm getting goosebumps because.
Were you cold?
It was a cold winter back then. No, it was. I remember. So it starts with the title track, "Tough It Out," and to this day, every time I put that on, it's one of those songs that just. Oh, it just gets me. I can't put it any other way than I fucking love that song. I really do. It's just one of those songs that just instant goosebumps. All these years later, whenever I listen to it.
Well, funny enough, I've got a story about that as well.
Go on, yeah.
Well, I'm sure you have never heard of this person, but have you ever heard of a guy called Bend Over?
I might have through somebody else. Yes, I know a little bit about him.
Well, he's a massive fan of FM, and he came to one of our shows, and he came up. He said, "Oh, Pete," because he's a drummer as well as other things. And he came. He said, "Pete, I'm such a massive fan of yours." And I said, "Ben, I'm such a massive fan of yours." We were chatting, and he said, and he got banged up in prison for a few years.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll tell you what, Pete, that song 'Tough It Out,' that got me through a lot of dark times." And it was like, bloody hell, there he was in prison listening to 'Tough It Out.'
Bloody hell.
Yeah. And the thing was, I think he's been to a few shows now.
Yeah.
But he used to sign more autographs than we did after the show.
What were they getting him to autograph? That's the question.
Well, I can't go into that on this family show, Yeah.
Well, the last time I saw you guys was in 2014, and it's when you toured with it was Foreigner and Europe.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I saw you in Wolverhampton. Right. I think it was the Civic Hall.
Yes, yeah.
And I've got to say, for everybody listening to the audio show and watching it on YouTube, that you guys, you really are the most genuine and friendly guys as well. You had time for everybody. I've got photographs of me with all of you, and you were signing stuff for everybody. You really did take the time to meet the fans that were there. So I want to put it out there for anybody that's not an FM fan or doesn't know about them. First of all, go and buy the music, then you will be a fan. but if you do go to see them live, you're assured of a cracking show, great music. But if you're lucky enough to see them afterwards, you are really great with the fans as well.
Well, we try to be. It's like, without the fans, we're nothing. So why would you not treat your fans well? It's just like a given to us, So, yeah, we always like to come out after. It's a bit strange with the COVID thing now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's weird, but I think we did even the shows in November. We still went out. I mean, whether we should or shouldn't have done, I don't know. But
yeah.
But you just feel like we like to meet our fans because they tell us things that we don't know. They'll tell us they'll tell us about songs that they like or songs they don't like and what they think. And it's like It's like market research, really, you know. And yeah, why would you not? But really, you know, that's what I think. You know, we've never got a problem with it at all. So
you must have had at some point some overly enthusiastic fans or strange requests or something like that.
yeah, I can't go into them here, but no. But when our first tour we did was with Meatloaf, bless him, no longer with us, and it was. We took over, I think we did 5 shows or something in Germany. We took over from Air Race, and it was, you know, it was the time when the Cold War was on, which is a bit weird now, talking about.
Isn't it just?
Yeah, you know, so but we won't go into that because that's a bit too depressing, you know. But, let's try and keep it light as we can. But we done a show somewhere in Germany, and obviously there was lots of Americans, you know, GIs and stuff, lots of and this guy came up to me after the show. He said, "Man," excuse the accent. He said, "Man, you are the best drummer I've ever seen, man. Man, you are awesome." And he carried on like this going on, but then his face suddenly changed. It was like, no, hang on a minute. He said, "No, the guy in April Wine, he's the best drummer, not the second best drummer." So I was like, "Oh, there you go." Fair enough. He's not second best. But he was going mental. And then his whole demeanor changed. You're like, "No, hang on a minute. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not him. No, it's not you."
But you're still up there. You were still
second,
up there.
Second, that's all right. I'll take second anytime.
Silver medal, that's fine on the podium.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all right. You were. I remember your 30th anniversary. I know Bernie Marsden got on stage with you a few times, and I was lucky enough. I did a show, an interview show with Bernie a few years ago, and saw him live at a club here. Because Whitesnake, for me, my Whitesnake is anything sort of pre 1987. I love the 1987 album, but proper Whitesnake for me, it's Bernie and everybody, Ian Pace, John Lord. So when people like that get up on stage with you, Pete, obviously it must be really good because, you know, us as fans love seeing that kind of stuff as well. Is there anybody yet that you would sort of on your bucket list that you think, oh, I'd love to get them up on stage with us and have a bit of a jam?
Blimey, there's probably loads, to be honest. I mean, Prince would have been good.
That would have been good. Yeah.
You know, that's pretty. You know, that guy just what a genius. Yeah. No, there's all sorts of people. You know, the list's too long, really. You know, but no, we've had a few people get up. We had Glenn Hughes got up with us a couple of times, and that was great because the first band I ever saw live, I lived in Scotland when I was probably from about 12, 13, lived up there for a couple of years with my mum. And the first band I saw was Deep Purple at the Caird Hall on the Burn tour.
Wow.
So like I say, that was with Glenn was in the band, and, you know, David Coverdale and everybody. And so that was weird. You know, like for my first gig, seeing Glenn Hughes, and then next minute he's on stage singing. We did Superstition and Coast to Coast, the trapeze song, you know. So that was great. So there's probably other people, but my memory's no good, you know, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I think my first gig was, it was Whitesnake actually in '81 on the Come and Get It tour.
You're a youngster, you see.
Oh, if only. There's not that much between us, Pete, honestly. So with this tour coming up, again, like we said, it must be so exciting for you to hit the road and everything. What's your favourite bit about being on the road, and what's the least favourite bit about travelling and doing these gigs?
I pretty much like everything to do with being on the road. The only bit that can be a bit of a drag sometimes is just the hanging around before you go on. If you haven't got a hotel nearby, because what we tend to do is we'll do the show and then we'll travel maybe an hour or a couple of hours just to break the back, just because the roads can be so unpredictable in the country, you know. So we haven't got a hotel, so it's not like you can do the sound check and then go back to a hotel and relax. You have to sort of stay at the venue, and that can sometimes be a bit boring. sort of,
Yeah.
you know. But no, nothing. I don't complain about anything. Like I said, I'm just grateful to still be doing it. So I'm not going to whinge about anything, you know, because I'm very, very, very lucky.
I find it hard to believe that time's gone by so quick that we're already coming up to. It's going to be the 40th anniversary in a couple of years of FM. 40 years. It's like, whoa, that's gone quick.
You must be wrong. You got to be wrong. Wow.
It's good as well. I want to put it out there for anybody listening as well. I said earlier, if people haven't listened to FM, obviously go and buy the music. Trust me, it's great as well. I love that Jem is your keyboard player, because I was a big Tobruk fan as well. I remember buying when it came out, Wild on the Run, and it was one of those cases you go to the record store and you'd buy records just based on the cover.
Yeah.
And I went, and it was the faces and they're all sort of blurred, and I thought, yeah, it looks interesting. I'll buy that. And oh my God, I love that album. It's so good.
That is very true that you would sometimes buy an album because of the cover, and that never happens now, does it? You know, that's a very interesting observation. You know, so well, but especially vinyl. You know, it seems to be, and I heard CD sales are up for the first time.
So, yeah.
Along, you know, so. You know, maybe people are now getting back into the physical, because there's nothing better, is there, than getting a new album and putting it on and reading the cover and, you know, listening to the music and sort of hearing it, how the band or the artist saw it, you know, because what people do now, they can't just skip, don't they, between stuff.
Oh, it's so easy to just hit that button and go on to the next album, not even the next track on the album, just go to a different artist or something. Yeah.
So it really is, it's brilliant. I miss, I've got a record player, whatever you call them, record deck, not sure what the technical term is. But no, maybe I should get one again. I haven't got any records, I've given them all away.
I've still got
all my records away to this bloke.
Oh no!
I never want them again. He's like, oh, you stupid boy.
No, I'm lucky. I kept mine. I had my tradition. Buy a new album. This would happen with every FM album as well. Get in from the record store, put it on, put the headphones on.
Right.
First listen was always sit there with headphones, staring at the album cover. If there was inserts in it, if there was a lyric sheet, read along to the lyric. It was, it was a proper experience.
It was, yeah.
Oh yeah, so hopefully people are going to do that with vinyl, even though it is 30 quid. I looked into new albums, it was like 30 quid.
I mean, I can't remember how much, say, in 1985, 86, how much was an album then? I've got no idea. Was it like 10 quid?
It was under a tenner.
Was it?
Definitely. Right. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, I've got no idea. So just interest. Yeah, so I suppose as they have gone up quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know.
But you musicians, you deserve every penny, and you deserve more than the likes of Spotify and all them are.
I would probably agree with you there.
Yeah. So this is why I always say, support these artists. Go and see you live, buy the merch, buy the music. All this bollocks about downloading music for free that suddenly came in when the internet happened, all of that. Don't do that, or else it's stopping you making music. It's your living. So I always push people to support the bands.
Thank you.
That's all right. Well, Pete, thank you for giving me some time.
Pleasure.
Hopefully we'll get to chat again soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not sure if I can get you on this tour because of the C word that's happening, my other half, and because of the job I do, we still can't go to gigs. We've got to be ultra careful.
Sorry. Right.
Yeah. So I haven't gone to a gig since, obviously, I think it was the beginning of 2020.
Right.
So I'm hoping in the next few months we'll be able to start going to them again.
Yeah.
So I've got my fingers crossed that you guys will keep touring, putting out more music. I'll keep buying it, and then
you're a good man.
See you live.
You're a good man, and thanks to everyone who's bought the album and listened to the album and made comments about the album. So yeah, and we'll see you very soon in the next few weeks. Okay,
definitely. That's great. Well, for the sake of the edit, Pete, again, thanks for giving me some of your time. And
pleasure. Anytime.
Here's to many more years of you making some great music.
Thank you very, very much. You take care and look after yourself.
Thanks, Pete.
See you soon. God bless.